The Sharks finally got a regulation win. Sharks won their third game today, which was their first win in regulation, as the first two games, one win against the Coyotes and one win against the Blues, were both in a shootout. So the Sharks, they played a pretty good game. The problem with the Sharks is they tend to blow leads. They had the lead a couple times in this game, yet they couldn't really get it done. And before I get into the game's details, if you guys are wondering why the past two games I've been wearing an Oakland Seals hat, it's because the Sharks and the Wild kind of have this strange connection. I'll just tell you guys briefly. The Oakland Seals were Oakland's hockey team. They were in the NHL for a decent amount of time and they started in 1967, which was obviously the same year as like a lot of other teams like the Kings, I think the Blues, and etc. So then they had low attendance and stuff like that in Oakland, so they relocated to Cleveland, and they became the Cleveland Barons, and they didn't last that long either. And then they merged with the Minnesota North Stars, who are now known as the Dallas Stars. And in that transaction, the San Jose was later granted a franchise, and so their Sharks and the Seals are oddly connected, but then that makes them also connected to the North Stars, and also kind of makes them connected to the Wild. So that was just a little brief explanation for that. Let's get into the game. Sharks won by 5-3, and one of those goals was an empty netter, so basically 4-3. But Brent Burns towards the end had an amazing goal. The player of the game would probably be Ryan Donato. He had a goal and assist against his former team. In net for the Sharks was Martin Jones. And Ryan Donato is actually pretty good so far. He's a new Shark. He was from the Wild. He was, I wouldn't say underperforming, but he wasn't as good with the Wild, so he came over to us because of that. But the goals for the Sharks was by Ryan Donato, Brent Burns, who had a pretty great goal, Evander Kane, who is also doing pretty well, Noah Gregor, I think he had his first goal of the year tonight, Matt Nieto, and that was it. For the Wild, in net today was Kaapo Kähkönen. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right. I don't know too much about him. But anyways, Zach Parise had a goal. Nick, I'm not even trying to pronounce that. I don't know much about the Wild. Nick Bajugstad, I don't know if I'm saying that right, guys. Sorry. Had a goal, and Kevin Fiala had a goal. So, it's interesting because in all three series the Sharks have played in, one against the Coyotes, one against the Blues, and now one against the Wild, they've split it. So I'd say the Sharks are like kind of consistent. Like, I wouldn't say they're a bad hockey team. I think last year I'd consider them a bad hockey team, but they're actually playing pretty well. So in this game, so I'm not going to count them out of anything. Next game we will play the Avalanche in a 2-game series, and they're obviously a lot better. So we'll see. And pretty good. One thing to point out is Martin Jones had a pretty good game towards the end. He clutched up. There was a couple breakaway opportunities for the Wild, and he stopped them. And he needs a better year. I know it's unfortunate because I like Martin Jones. It's just last year, and he's had these inconsistencies, and I don't think it's 100% his fault. But it was good to see him have a good game out there. And the Sharks, they actually look like a team today. Burns has had some struggles, but he had a nice goal. Carlson, he's also had some struggling, but he had an assist, so good point for him there. And he did pretty well. So good game for the Sharks. Let me know your guys' thoughts. Final score was 5-3. The record is now 3-3 as they've split the first 3 series. And now they will play the Colorado Avalanche. And let me know your guys' thoughts if you want to talk about the Seals. I love talking about the Seals as they're a vintage hockey team, a defunct hockey team. But that is besides the point. Sharks, like I said, win 5-3, and they will move to 500 record. And good game out there. Player of the game, Ryan Donato. Thank you guys so much for watching.